doing? Good. How's your water well situation? You know what? I haven't
kind of
done that.
somewhere
treatment
kind
yet.
of in between.
We've been
Well,
so
it's
busy,
mellowed
been out of
over
town
the
like
years.
the last 4 weekends.
It's the time
in a row or
spent in
something.
England
It's been
training.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I was talking about it last
South
night. In
African
fact, with my wife, I said I'm
Kind of
going
like
to do that this weekend.
like Britain, they have to go from.
Test it. I'll let you know.
All right, yeah, good luck with that.
Okay, we have a quorum, and Christine and Skylar will be with us shortly, so I would call the meeting to order. And thank you all for coming. The first item is the privilege of the floor. Reminder that if you're speaking for an individual, yourself, you have 3 minutes. If you are speaking for a group, you have 5 minutes. So, the privilege of the floor. Is there anyone who would like to address the board?
It's such a privilege to be here this evening speaking to a group that's dealing with an issue of wind turbine noise, as opposed to the group that's meeting tonight. That's the alleged wind turbine noise and public health forum is being sponsored by Alliance for Clean Energy New York, which is a lobbyist organization for the wind industry. The panelists on this discussion are, two of them are noted internationally for denying the science of wind turbine noise. And I really appreciate, again, speaking with a group that's actually dealing with the consequences of wind turbine noise. I would ask the board for an update on its concern for issuing a letter of recommendation to town boards in terms of what they might consider for safe setbacks. In addition to that, the town of Portland is currently in a state of moratorium on their wind development, which is actually giving them time to consider their wind law. This board's recommendation would be extremely helpful to the town of Portland in their decision. And thank you very much.
That was Dr. Mark Twichell. I forgot to mention, please announce, tell your name and your address.
Mark Twichell, Fredonia, New York.
We know you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to?
Yes, hello, my name is Lynn Bedford. I'm from Arkwright, Fredonia, New York. And I've been to your board meetings, and I really appreciate, how you're processing the information that we've been giving. And I just have to tell you that I am so pleased that I was elected to be on the board of Arkwright Town. And I feel now I can have a voice and express and get together. I met over 100 people in the time I was campaigning, and there was so much talk of sickness of people who live near the turbines. And I get discouraged sometimes because there's so much positive that it's a great thing going on. So for me to talk to the residents of Arkwright and find out they're going to vote against the people who put the turbines in because they have made them so sick. Now the result came back, and it was unanimous landslide. 5 people from Advocates of Arkwright got on the board, and now we're going to have to try to even put a silence at night on these turbines because they are giving us sleep deprivation. At least we can do something now. So we're looking forward to the health board to come alongside us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Okay, with the board's permission, I would like to read an email that I received this morning from an individual who could not be here. And it's rather brief, but this is from Evan Davis. And if you recall, at our September meeting, Evan Davis was here and addressed us during the privilege of the floor. So with your permission, I'll read Mr. Davis's email. This was today. It says, "Hello, my name is Evan Davis, RN BSN. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend the Board of Health meeting tonight, but I wanted to voice my concerns once again regarding the Ball Hill Wind Project. In response to the Board of Health safety concerns regarding setback, the Villanova Board unanimously voted to move the setback to 1,000 feet from residences, 200 feet closer than previously. This ordinance, with turbines of this height so close to residences, is unprecedented worldwide. The significance of this cannot be understated. Safety is now even more of a concern, as no consideration is being made for the risks involved, such as blade and ice throw, tower fall, infra or audible sound. At what point do we need higher legislation to become involved? At this point, the town board and supporting residents need protection from themselves, as they have been blinded by greed. The Villanova Town Board has no education or qualifications to set such a precedence, and while they are operating within the law, it is unsafe and unethical. Environmental, economic, and health concerns all point to this project being detrimental to the members of this town and county. And while there is no denying it will be lucrative for some, the impact these turbines will have over the next 45 years should give pause for thought. Many other states, as well as Canada and several European countries, have recognized the need for safe setbacks. Will Villanova be allowed to proceed with their ignorant and unsafe project? At this point, seeing no one else, we'll close the privilege of the floor. Okay, we'll move on. Industrial wind turbines. Just to recap our September meeting, recall that we had one of our classic wide-ranging discussions on options, and one of them was to consider amending the county sanitary code, which requires New York State Department of Health approval. Second one was approach the legislature, county legislature, relative to the possibility of a local law calling for a moratorium. The third one was to require a permit from the local health department for industrial wind turbines. I don't know the results of that. I don't know whether our law department has investigated or approached anything.
The board's, our attorney on this, is working on that. She's on vacation this week, that's why she's not here, but she has been doing a tremendous amount of research on it.
Okay.
Was there a letter that was going to the legislature?
Yes, and then the fourth thing really was I said I would draft a letter to the towns, send it to all of the towns in the county. I did that.
It's in your
Christine has very productively and appropriately modified my original letter, and her version, which is far better than mine, is in your packets. And
Did you say her version or the perversion?
her version, yeah, I need to speak more clearly, thank you.
I'm not ready.
Anyway, it's in your packets, and notice the date on that. So that will go out.
It says November 19th.
Could I make a comment, ask a question? Obviously, there's been quite a bit of debate on the topic in the community and the various sides. I think this board, correct me if I'm wrong, has said on several occasions that the concerns that we have are based on health issues and not any opposition to the concept of clean energy. But I don't know whether it's wouldn't it be helpful to say something like that in one of these, in a letter, to indicate that we have, that, you know, that we don't want to kind of, I don't want to, I'll speak for myself, I don't want to kind of aid climate change deniers by implying that we're supportive of these measures simply because we believe it's wrong to. We don't want to be on the side of people who deny the fact that we do have, that wind turbines and other green sources can be helpful, other than the things that we've heard many people testify about that we want to mitigate.
Maybe, has everyone had a chance to read the letter?
I'm just reading it now, we did, yeah.
While you're reading it, I might comment, perhaps you saw in the Post-Journal earlier this week that the town of Ellicott had a special meeting and did vote a moratorium, I believe for 1 year, in the town of Ellicott. So that's the kind of thing that this letter was suggesting. And I think that's a positive thing.
I think what the board has come through with this letter is really focusing on the need for the state to change the way the reviews are done. So this goes to, can have a full seeker review, is really what the basis of all this is we don't know. And until they change legislatively that we have, that these projects are underneath a full seeker review. That's, I think, our main issue. We don't know. And until then, our recommendation, or the board's recommendation, is in bold, European standards restricting industrial wind turbines to a minimum of 1.5 miles from any residence, and 35 or fewer decibels of sound frequency, and then urging to contact the Public Service Commission to support the full seeker environmental review.
Incidentally, that relative to the bold in the last paragraph, there are regulations in some counties in the United States and in foreign countries, I believe, that the 1.5 miles is not from the residence, but from the property line. So that even extends it out further.
Oh, is that right?
Have any of you been getting email or text messages from the other side that's having the meeting in Buffalo?
Yes.
Inviting us to come?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any information from them.
Somehow they've gotten all of mine.
Yeah, I got
You
that.
think?
Yeah.
The other thing is just a minor picky point, but when we reference European standards, that's a pretty global, well, almost global. Are we talking about European Union standards or just in general
Brexit?
Europe?
No, I think that depends on the country. Am I correct there, Mark? The standards in Europe?
I don't even know if there are such a thing as
Yeah.
European standards.
That's what I'm getting at, because
Before we put this
you're
in the
opening
mail,
yourself,
we need
to
to-
criticism there as to which European standards are you
We don't really have to say
talking
any, you guys don't have to say any standards, you could just say, the Board of Health
Yeah, we can come up with
recommendation
our
is
own.
restrict to a minimum of 1.5 miles from any residence, or you can say property line, that's the board's
That's
jurisdiction.
probably-
Because if it was the European Union, that would give you a little bit more definitive statement, but if it's just some European countries. Right.
That is my understanding. It is some European countries.
We could call the.
So why do we even need
the
European in
ambassador
there?
of the European
Pardon?
Union.
Why do we even need European in
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. You give them a call on the cell phone at a restaurant, yeah.
He's pretty busy.
And they have, is that in the agenda?
Yeah, I've got that
Or
restaurant.
does anybody know where it is?
Hey, we
We
may want
digress.
Okay.
we may want to change the section on European.
Or just see if you
Before
can
we-
even
I'm just
eliminate
before
that.
we
Just
set
say
it.
what our standard
Or
is.
just-
Well, I think you have to have a
Be more
standardized
specific about where the-
set of regulations, and they should be statewide, not just
Right.
local.
Wind law, that reads.
But I'm glad we had an action, because I think we all felt we needed to take such an action, so appreciate the letter.
Are we
Both of
okay
you.
with the residents?
I think so, because properties are all different sizes. You could have a 55-acre farm and then you're, 1.5 miles from the edge of that, and
That's
then
right.
it's different, all over the place, so.
So I'd leave in resident.
And taking that, if somebody says, well, why 1.5 miles, where'd you come up with it? You say, well, based on the research of some European countries.
Some
And then you
yeah.
identify it,
Mhm.
like this is where this information has come
Prudent
from.
and
Right.
reasonable,
But this is, yeah,
because we can.
These are reasonable standards.
yeah.
And it's a start, in the absence of the health department, the state,
Yeah.
taking a stand. At least we did.
We come to the director's report.
Jeez, we've had a lot already to talk about tonight.
We need 6.
They have an answer.
Yeah, was it 11 or was it 10 on the board, right?
I thought it was 11.
It was 11.
Difference in the